In 1935, the most advanced airplane ever built crashed on its very first flight, because the pilot forgot one step. He was the Army's best test pilot. And that single mistake nearly killed the plane that would win a war. Now, what does that have to do with your money? Everything. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The investors who lose money aren't usually dumb. They're smart people who skipped a step. And the greatest investors alive have found a shockingly simple fix, the same one that saved aviation and surgery. It's called a checklist. The Boeing plane was a monster, 4 engines, more instruments than any pilot had ever managed. On October 30, 1935, it roared down the runway, climbed, stalled, and crashed. Major Ployer Hill died. The newspapers called it too much airplane for one man to fly. The Army almost canceled the whole program. But here's what nobody expected. A few pilots refused to give up. They didn't demand more training. They didn't hire smarter pilots. They made a checklist. A simple index card. Check the controls. Release the gust locks. Set the instruments. That's it. And that plane, the B-17, went on to fly 1.8 million miles without a single accident. 13,000 of them were built. A dumb little card turned a death trap into a legend. Fast forward to 2009. A surgeon named Atul Gawande had a question. If checklists work for pilots, would they work in the operating room? So he ran a study. 8 hospitals, from the poorest to the richest, all using one simple 19-item checklist before surgery. The results stunned everyone. Deaths after surgery fell by 47%. Complications dropped by more than a third. Not from new technology. Not from better doctors. From a piece of paper asking, "Did you wash your hands? Do you know the patient's name?" So let me ask you something. Think about the last stock you bought. Did you follow a written process, or did you just have a good feeling about it? Be honest. Drop a 1 or a 2 in the comments, 1 if you had a system, 2 if you went with your gut. Here's where it gets really interesting. An investor named Mohnish Pabrai read Gawande's book, and did something most brilliant people are too proud to do. He admitted he needed a checklist too. Pabrai went back and studied dozens of the worst investment mistakes ever made, his own, and even Buffett's and Munger's. And he found something disturbing. The mistakes weren't random. The same errors repeated over and over. Too much debt. A business outside their circle of competence. Betting on management they hadn't checked. So he built a checklist, roughly 80 questions he runs every single company through before he invests $1. And this is the counterintuitive part most people miss. The checklist doesn't make him a worse investor by removing his judgment. It makes him a better one by catching the one obvious thing his excitement wants to ignore. Charlie Munger said it best. No wise pilot, no matter how great his talent and experience, fails to use his checklist. If the man who compounded billions won't trust his memory, why should you trust yours? So what actually goes on the list? You don't need 80 questions to start. You need the ones that catch your specific mistakes. Start with the classics. Do I understand how this business makes money? Is it inside my circle of competence? Then the killers, the questions that prevent permanent loss. How much debt does it carry? Am I paying a price with a margin of safety, or am I paying for hope? What could make this thesis completely wrong? And here's the discipline that separates pros from amateurs. When a stock excites you the most, that's exactly when you pull out the list. Because excitement is when you skip steps. Just like a pilot rushing to take off. Just like a surgeon running late. Remember what I said at the start, the best pilot in the country crashed because he skipped one step. You are not smarter than that pilot. Neither am I. The market doesn't punish stupidity nearly as often as it punishes overconfidence. A checklist isn't a crutch for the weak. It's the seatbelt the professionals never take off. Write this down, your memory is where good decisions go to die, your checklist is where they survive. So here's my question: did this flip how you think about your own process? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. And tomorrow, I'm breaking down the single question Warren Buffett asks before every investment, miss it, and the whole checklist falls apart.